Okay, so I wanted to talk a little about the concepts behind my tune Laura from my Reduktion EP. Let's get right into it. Okay, so the whole setup of the tune is actually, like most of my tunes, very, very simple. The basis of it is the Vongon Replay synth, which is a Juno style, very simple synth, which sounds really gorgeous, I think. It's just a very basic patch with which I improvised and sampled the whole thing, a couple of chord progressions like this. So it's a very basic patch, and it's really, really simple. And yeah, as I said, I sampled a whole little improvisation session with it, and then cut the chords, sliced it, so to speak, but in larger increments, and then put it back together in a way that made sense to me, and that's what makes up the melody in the whole tune. It's just the way that I voice these chords. Most are just very basic 3-note triads, a minor and major chords, and some have a ninth on top, but it's mostly very, very simple. And so that's how the whole tune starts and what the prominent instrument is. It's here on track 13. And the tremolo effect that you hear is actually, that's the digitakt doing its thing. We take that off, it's a modulation thing. There it is. It's modulating the amp volume. And let's take that to 0. Here it is. And so on this track is 8 bars long, as you can see, and you know, next bar, next bar. And that's it. But of course, with the mod applied. Okay, let's solo it, shall we? Okay, so I applied a little bit of bit reduction and overdrive, but there's no reverb, no delay, because I really wanted a very upfront and dry, intimate sound. There you have it. So that's basically it. And I arranged the, so there's different chords happening during the verse, if you want to call it that, and the chorus, and I arranged those in patterns. These are patterns 9 to 15, which I use for the performance on the EP. Okay, and let's get back to the whole thing. So there's kind of like an ostinato da-da-da-da melody happening on top, which is not one melody, but it's made up of single snippets of sound, and together they form this, let's not call it melody, but this melodic motif, so to speak. And let's isolate those. I believe one very prominent part is on track 11 and on 10. That's right. So let's start with track 10. This is what's happening over there, which is a very, very basic sample panned all the way to the right. There's no modulation happening. There's like a side chaining, fake side chaining happening because it's just the amp, the amp attack, which is delayed. That's would be like this. Okay, so that's happening on the right, and on the left we have track 11, which by itself sounds like this. This also is a sample from the replay, and it's a very simple thing again, but this is modulated. The amp volume is modulated with a random wave, and that's what gives it this jittery kind of thing. If we take that off, we took it all the way to -100. So now, so it's just a single, very basic single note sample from the replay, which now sounds like this. So together on this left-right thing, sounds like this. And if we put the chords below that, and since they're being static, they create this tension and resolve against the chord progression. But there's a third thing happening, which is also just like a single note figure, which is what the song starts off with. This same thing. It's a single note from the replay, and it's just repeating, and you can hear it moving across the stereo field, which is also the LFO modulating the panning, as you can see here. It's also modulating the amp attack very slowly, so that keeps changing, getting longer here. If we make that more drastic, it's easier to hear. Very short and getting longer again. And it's also the decay is not being modulated. I said it, but it's obviously on 0. So if we put those three elements together, it sounds like this. And with the chords. And so these kind of things are always something I look for. They're kind of like accidents, not really, because I'm looking for something like this to happen, and I set things up so there's a high chance of things like this happening. But that's exactly what I'm looking for. Same thing applies to my rhythms. It's often a very similar process. There's two more things happening. This is just a pad that I sampled, which comes in later in the song, like on every second hit or something. It sounds like a reverse thing, if I remember. Yeah. There it is. And on top of all of these, there's just one more little noise element, which is exactly that. It's a noise element. There it is. Also with the fake side chaining. No modulation on it, right? Yeah. I seem to have not used a lot of modulation on this tune, but that's the way it is. So now the rhythms are... Oh, one last thing I did on track 14. I took the chord progression, the same chord progression, pitched it up, pitched everything up an octave, and reversed it, and also did the fake side chaining. So this happens. with the chords sounds like this. To give the whole part somewhat of a lift and a little bit more fullness, a little bit more excitement, if you want to call it that. Okay, so, and the rhythms, which sound like this. Okay, so there's 6 tracks happening, which is quite a lot for me. But the most prominent feature that I just noticed is the kick drum. I usually don't have as long a decay on the kick. And you can see it's really busy. There's a lot of steps programmed, but these all have like a pretty low probability of happening at all. 19%, as you can see here, 20%, 20%, 19. So these happen every now and then and randomly, which is exactly what I'm looking for. And sometimes I filter these differently, but not this time, I guess. Something's, some I shortened to extremely short, which will just be a click happening, like that one, for example. There was one. So that's the kick, but the most prominent things happening are the clicks, of course. That's my snare. There's a nice little click. There's a bigger click. There's a shifting kind of thing happening. And so let's look at what I did. I believe when the rhythm comes in, I start with this. No, I don't. Maybe it's that. I'm not sure. It was a while ago. So what's happening there? Okay, so these, they're not random. No probability happening, I believe. But panning, yes. So I panned these. This is not modulated. I did pan these by hand to move around the spectrum, no modulation on there. And just with a rhythm that I thought was nice. And as the song progresses, I keep adding different clicks to up the intensity. That's my rim shot, Tanzbär sample. I believe next I introduced track 3, which is kind of like the kick drum, has a lot of stuff happening, but with very low probability. And on different steps, I change the volume and the hold and the decay to have variety. Besides that, not much going on. But now you have the somewhat irregular bass drum, except for the one. Then you have the track 5, which is playing a regular pattern, and the pattern on track 3, which moves around. And then kind of to anchor it, I have this snare sound. Which makes everything more regular. And together with the other noises, to me, like a very pleasant picture emerges. It's moving around the spectrum, it's like triggering nice frequencies, chords are basically why everything else is there. And then later the click comes in. It's just that one, no modulation, nothing, always same thing happening. And now I just saw something was triggered on track 12. I don't remember what it was. Okay. Okay, that's not too exciting. Oh well. Okay, so now track 6 is somewhat interesting. It's more clicks, but these are made with a different technique. So basically, this is like a it's called New Glitches is the sample, because I made New Glitches, and I'm saving. What am I doing? It's like I haven't touched this for a while. So what? So I basically loaded one of my glitch things, which are somewhat longer this time. They're not just tiny little glitches, but sometimes they ring out a little bit. And so I have the possibility of changing sample start time, which I didn't do here, but I usually do a lot. So here I modulated the tune randomly, the tune of the sample. So if I just have that one sample, it keeps moving around, which works very well with clicks, because they're not making random tonal melodies, but yeah, the click changes its nature, so to speak. And secondly, as you could just see, that glitch is surrounded by other glitch samples, so I modulated the sample slot randomly just a little bit, because otherwise the jumps are too big. But this way it's playing back different samples. You can hear them change. And there's some retrigs on there, and because I don't want to have the retrigs happening at the same spot all the time, this whole sequence is not quite 2 bars long. It's 31/16 instead of 32, which means that with every play through every 2 bars, it gets shifted 1/16 against everything else. So it appears like the retakes are happening at a random point, which they're not really, but kinda. So these 7 tracks are all that make up what's happening here. And I just discovered when I loaded this project, and I made a melody, which I then deleted in the final thing. I liked it. I don't know if there's a trigger for it. There is. Let's listen to the melody against the chords. I don't know if I changed the chords after I made the melody, but let's see what happens. kind of like it, but I didn't like it enough for it to stay. And, don't get attached to parts in there, because if you listen back and you feel like they don't belong in there, they probably don't belong in there. So throw them out. Anyway, and so then I arranged the whole thing to kind of follow along on the patterns. It starts like this. Okay, melody wanted to be back in there. And then I play with the mutes and everything, and I hope. Well, and that's basically how the whole song is constructed. And yeah, hope that was informative.